Hello, everybody. Hey, it's August 2020. I'm Dr. Randall George Nozawa. They call me the bounce back blind guy because I am. And welcome to New Enlightened Lifestyle Medicine. Oh, everyone, say hello to
The guy you forget every time.
Hi there.
Hello.
And then, I couldn't get one of those popular masks that are going around. So instead, I'm going to wear this today.
That works. I like that.
Because, well, no, you're telling me, about your Elmer Fudd kind of sound the other day, and now I've got an Elmer Fudd hat.
So, I bit my tongue, and I couldn't. I had to do some shows, and I sounded like ridiculous, but
I didn't have a mask. I figure a Fudd hat would do well.
I like
because, it. That would probably protect me more than those masks. But we can talk about that later because I didn't think any of those were. Unless you're trying to make money selling masks, Halloween is coming up, and then I was trying to find a hockey mask, but I just couldn't find one that fits, But then some other guy on TV had one too, and he's more popular than I am. So, but anyway, everyone, hey, look at your 2020 year, and you find out where you're at. Okay, you're at home. Okay, we call it lockdown. Listening to, say, our government say, stay home, stay away from people, social distance. And recently on TV up here in the state of Washington, they're wanting to increase that 6-foot distance to over 26 feet. Because darn, those viruses can just they propel, they're kind of like super viruses. They can just leap, very far. So they're thinking about 26, feet. And such. So, but anyway, with everything going on, it's what I like with this show is that we tell the truth. And thank you for all those folks watching this show and reading my blogs and all. But in this 2020 year, it's marked, and this comes from CDC statistics now, and those guys lie all the time, right? But this 2020 year is the second lowest in death rate from all causes, from 2000. And the lowest year was 2009, when what happened? Oh, H1N1, swine flu, everyone's dying. And then from there, the CDC found, oh, darn, no one's dying. And so they came up with this statistic that they put out on in the media. 22 million people have died because of the swine flu when none had. Because to their dismay, they're examining all these people that are coming in, with the cold. Oh, by the way, the fever and cough, like what's going on now, right? Oh, shoot, they don't have this thing in them. Oh, no, now what? Oh, let's make it up. Let's double down. 22 million. So anyway, that's where we're at now because when you listen to the news, it's confirmed cases of COVID. Well, okay, the molecular tests, URT, PCR, the antigen antibody says they're all flawed. They're all flawed. And now you have the CDC saying, well, you don't need to take a test, unless you're coughing or feverish. So why take a test? So all this confusion going around and with tests that don't work, and you have all these people that are proposed to be dying, and they're not. They're just not. Okay, and then we can talk more about skin color and how vitamin D is absorbed and created in your body. And, those that have vitamin D levels, above, 36 nanograms per milliliter, all those people live. And so, who doesn't? You have the elderly that living in nursing homes that don't eat well, don't get any sun. Oh, guess what? No one can come visit them because, we have this distancing thing, right? And of all things, Black people, only over 75% of them don't have enough vitamin D in them because of dark skin, which is, the melanocytes making, the melanin color, it absorbs sunshine. And so Black people, especially those with the darkest skins, need to get out into the sun more. They need anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes a day with as much skin showing, right? And so for the lighter skin, you need, 10 to 30 minutes. For the olive skin folks, about 30 to 60 minutes. But we need vitamin D. Getting outside, fresh air, and all that. Those people don't get this thing that's going around, and it may not even be a thing because, like John Rappaport says, it's never been confirmed. And
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, Dr. Randall, but let's not forget about that we have Gareth here. So I just,
I'm rambling on. Thank you. Thank you for cutting me off. Otherwise, he'd be in bed by now. But everyone, we've got Gareth Icke back on, and he brings news from. I don't know if it's a more intelligent area on Earth, but it's certainly not here in the U.S. But he brings a lot of great information, from the UK, and he's a reporter of truth. Also, besides being internationally known musician, so talented guy and knows a lot of stuff. And that this is one thing about our show is that we bring truth. So, Gareth, welcome, and update us on what's going over there, in your part of the woods here. And one, how can we band as a species, a brethren, to get back to living free, because we're not. So go ahead.
No, we're not. Thanks for having me, by the way. England's mental. So like when you were saying then that we're a more intelligent species, that we're not showing very much evidence of that at the moment, to be honest. So today they've just announced that masks are going to be mandated in schools. So they're putting them on kids now. Even though a week ago it was like, we're not going to do that. So what the government keeps doing here is saying we're definitely not doing something, then saying we're listening to the science, and then doing it anyway, despite the science showing no evidence of any good to come from it, and lots of negative to come from it. So I'm just waiting now for masks to be mandated just to leave the house, which is kind of what you've got over there, isn't it? So we're just waiting for that, because that's the next one.
Not extreme, not full blown. It's still in businesses, at least in Houston. I'm not sure about the other states though.
It's here. It's all shops, shopping centers, hairdressers, everything apart from the pub, which is funny. So like I say, just kind of waiting for that. Really, they're nothing if not predictable, really. And so we've got the same situation that you've got there, because no one's dying. We're at, I think, the 10th week now where our weekly deaths are well below the 5-year average. Yet still everyone's, pushing the restrictions further and further. And all they're talking about is cases. We've got all these cases. We've got all these cases. It's like, well, why is no one dying then? Doesn't make any sense. And so they're locking down regionally now. So if you've got an area where there's a few more cases, then they've locked them down. So Leicester, which is about 40 minutes from me, that's locked down. Greater Manchester's locked down. A few places in Scotland, a few places in the North of England. So they're not doing the whole country yet, but they're moving from place to place. And people are not asking critical questions. They're not thinking critically, and it's weird, and it's quite frustrating, really, because Leicester got locked down because they said, we've got 6 times the cases or 7 times the cases than we had a month ago. And it's like, well, you had 1 testing centre a month ago. You've now got 8. So, do you know what I mean? How many hospital admissions have they gone up? No. Okay. Have illnesses gone up? No. Deaths? No. Like we 3 days ago, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, we had 2 days on the trot with 0 deaths, not 1 single death, and it didn't even make the news.
No, of course not.
And you think that's front page. That's got to be front page news. And it didn't, because they want everyone frightened. So what they're saying is, we've got all these cases, and no one's asking the question, well, why is no one dying then? That doesn't make any sense. If it's a deadly virus and it's increasing, then surely more people are dying, but they're not, because it's a scam, and the test is a scam, and the whole thing's a scam. Mm-hmm. But that's why they're forcing tests now. They're trying to really force it on people. In fact, they're actually throwing in financial incentives that you'll get paid to go and get a test, because obviously the more tests they have with the false positives, the more cases they have, the more they can shut down people's towns and cities. So yeah, it's frustrating.
That as I look at the Texas Medical Center data, and like the amount of people that we know, and especially in our last show. And oh, by the way, Gareth, I want to thank you you are the official first return guest on this show, which is awesome.
Magic, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
And we're gonna have you back for more. And
yeah,
you're gonna. And okay, so back to what I was saying. All right, so they've been publishing this information at the Texas Medical Center, and they update it every day. Now we've discussed the financial incentives, how redesignating regular pneumonia over to COVID pneumonia makes them more money. Something has changed because the number of the number of ICU hospital beds in use right now has plummeted, literally just dropped off. Right now in the Texas Medical Center, according to their official data, they only have 302 patients who are in intensive care that they call COVID-19, but they could be anything, versus the 950 non-COVID-19 intensive care. And this is, of course, in Texas Medical Center. And the number of medical surgical beds used for COVID-19 has it's literally dropping in half by, every time I check this page, the number is literally half. They're running out of a narrative here in Houston, especially. And they try, I mess around on local news stations and stuff like that and talk to people and make a lot of comments and point people to certain things. The most recent one was that discovery about the chromosome 8 mapping being identical to what the WHO had put out or preloaded the test with or whatnot. I've been getting in debates with PCR people. I call them PCR tyrants. Anyways, yeah, they're running out of ammo. So, and we do know that they moved the goalposts. So, okay, one of the things, and in our last show we focused specifically on care homes. One of the things I really want to talk about with you, because they did the same stuff here, is when this first started, there was that huge ramp up of deaths, and they started to put people in nursing homes and stuff like that. Now, I came across an article on 21st Century Wire at UK officials exposed for inflating COVID hospital numbers at the height of the pandemic. Oh, no, sorry. Wrong one. UK care homes were pushed to admit COVID positive and untested patients at height of the outbreak, new survey shows. And this was actually on RT, believe it or not. So that's very fascinating that you say that, but unbelievable that they did this at the same time that they did that in New York, and they got their death numbers like crazy. And now nothing. You don't hear anything about it, and of course they don't talk about any of these, any of this information. They don't discuss that. And so, all right, from the UK, you said the numbers of deaths have fallen off, and they've shifted the goalposts. Now they're focusing on the cases and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they've done it in such a way that the government, through the height of the pandemic, would release daily death numbers. Mm-hmm. They would come out, give a press conference and say how many people had died, and everyone's glued to, well, I wasn't, but most people were glued to the telly at 5 p.m. And so all these numbers. Now they've stopped doing that now. They've stopped doing that for the last, well over a month. They don't do daily death figures anymore. So you have to go and search for them. So you have to go to the Office of National Statistics and search for them, which most people aren't going to do. And they know that. So while they're shutting down towns and cities because of cases, they can't then come out at 5 o'clock and give the daily briefing to say we've had 0 deaths today. We've had 4 deaths today. We've had 0 deaths today. Because people are going to go, hang on, no, I'm out. But what they know is that most people don't think critically, and most people won't search for the information themselves, which is very frustrating. But when it comes to the care homes, that one was something that we were pointing out right at the beginning of it, at the end of March and the beginning of April, because I have a friend who runs a care home who messaged me privately, and he said, mate, this is murder, what they're doing. They're putting do not resuscitate orders on anyone over 60 in the care home. It's not with theirs or their family's consent. It's just going on there. And no medication is coming into our care home because they say that there's COVID patients in there, so the doctors won't come in. And he was like, no one's ever come in and tested any of my patients at all. So like, what are you talking about? So they denied them treatment. And obviously, if you deny someone treatment at that age, I don't know if you've ever spent time in a care home. My granddad was in one. They're just basically hospitals in terms of the amount of medication flying around. So they were being denied their medication. And then obviously, when they were getting ill and they were falling into, a point where they, then there's no resuscitation. So it's basically like, it's just death by neglect. It's murder by neglect is what it is. So I knew that was going on, and we were vocalizing that. We're putting on the site. We're, talking about it to anyone that would listen and being told to shut up, basically, because it's nonsense. They wouldn't do that. The amount of times I've heard that over this last 5 months. And the answer is no, you wouldn't do that. That's the difference, but you wouldn't sexually assault a kid, but it happens every day. So don't judge people by what you do, mate. And so all these old people were dying. Now, we had the same spike about the same time as you did. What they did in the UK is they took tens of thousands of people that were in hospital and put them back in care homes. Now, if you've been taken from a care home to a hospital, you're in there for a reason. They just took them out, put them back in the care homes. And then what they used that as an excuse for was obviously they've come and they've spread it around the care homes. It's like, no, they've died because they were meant to be in hospital getting treatment. You've denied them treatment. You stuck them back in the home where they're not getting treatment either. And then when they fall ill, you're not resuscitating them. And there's a little known thing that people don't realize, like in the UK, 10,000 people die in care homes every month. Every month. Yeah. Every month. The average life expectancy when you get put into a care home is 6 months. So there's obviously, exceptions. My granddad was in there for years. Some people are in there for a day, but the average is 6 months. So you've got people that have got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 month life expectancy, and that's with the medications. So they go into the care home, they're denied the treatment, they die in March or April or whatever, but they can't die again in July and August. So that's why you have this big spike in deaths all of a sudden, and then they taper off. And now, like I say, we're in the 10th week here with deaths like well below, as in 600-700 below the weekly average, because you can't die twice. And I keep trying to make that point to people. Do you know what I mean? You had the spike, but actually the year overall, there won't be an excess death. And the only excess death that you'll find are ones that have come as a result of the lockdown. So the fact that suicide spiked 200%, domestic violence has spiked, alcohol addiction, drug addiction. In America, young adults, 25% of young adults have contemplated suicide in the last 5 months. This is insanity. People losing their jobs, literally giving up the will to live. That's where you'll find any excess deaths. It's the lockdown that's done it. And, when they lock us back down in October with no furlough, so no one's got any money to feed the families, I mean, it's just going to go absolutely insane. And, in England alone, I think it was about 100,000, 140,000 important cancer diagnosis appointments were cancelled. Now, and that was over a 2-month period. And obviously that's not like, look, can you have a look at this on my skin? Or, I found a lump. These were callbacks. These were ones that were coming in because they'd had a test. And these are, important appointments. They weren't just, can you have a look at this, doc? And so you've got, over 100,000 of those in 2 months. Now, obviously, as both of you know, as everyone knows, you're saved from cancer by catching it early. If you don't catch it early, it's game over. Obviously, your chance of survival just plummets. Of course it does, because it spreads. And so people were going 5 months without a critical diagnosis. Well, that cancer could have gone anywhere. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you my friend in Scotland. He messaged me to say that his auntie had basically felt unwell, and so had phoned the doctor, and the doctor had said, that sounds like COVID, so you need to, well, actually it was still called coronavirus back then, but they keep rebadging it, don't they? But basically you need to self-isolate for 2 weeks. So she did, and symptoms got worse, and she felt worse, and so phoned again, and I really could do with it. No, just isolate. So she did again, so they did as she told, and it got so bad in the end that my mate's uncle said, sod this, I'm not having it, and drove her to A&E, stomach cancer, and she's dead now. We spoke about this when I was last on, and we were talking about the fact that, she had stomach cancer, and therefore, the prognosis was not good. Well, she's dead now.
Oh wow!
And so that's just one case, and that's come from not catching something you could have caught. So do you know what I mean?
It's bad. I mean, the engineering of this, and they're doing it so flagrantly. They're doing it right in our face. And you know that the powers that be, the elite, and they're just laughing, because especially when they got people fighting over something as stupid as a mask. And we've poured, all of us in the in research circles have been pouring over this information, like not just I mean, we've been investing a lot of our time into this, into breaking apart this narrative. And, in all honesty, not to sound all negative and stuff, there is a lot of positives that have been coming out of this, especially with regards to I've never seen something so furiously dissected as this pandemic in the past, at least on this large scale of an effort. I mean, and, we've all been, all of us in, I don't want to say conspiracy circles, because it's not conspiracy, it's truth. So they've aggressively tried to sideline us, and people like Alex Jones, who got completely banned and blocked and whatnot. And by the way, I've been seeing your dad a lot on Alex Jones, which is cool. I mean, he's in Texas, he's kind of like a local legend. Even though he's up in Austin, but a lot of people that I know were listening to him in the 90s and stuff like that. Very interesting guy. But anyways, so it's just incredible. So I do see a lot of positive developments coming from this. That at least is in the United States of America. You had made a comment when it comes to the UK where you said that people aren't thinking, and they're not thinking. I mean, by and large, people here are buying the BS, but there is a significant amount of pushback that I've seen. Is there any of that going on in the UK? Is there?
Yeah, there is, and actually, to be honest, mate, like, I've probably done them a little bit of disservice. It's just frustrating, especially when you go out and you see like little kids with masks on. I just want to slap the parents, but I see it like this in the UK, and I've been speaking at quite a lot of protests, and I always feel infinitely better after it, because you're talking to like-minded people of every age and every colour and every weight and every whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like all walks, and they're trying to sideline us here a little bit as kind of like, oh, it's just conspiracy, far right. It's like, far right, Jesus, having a laugh. But,
yeah, no.
but what they want to do is that they just want to instantly turn people off from it. So, yeah, that's annoying. But I'm always encouraged afterwards. And it's like, I see it like this. I think there's like, you've got 15% of people which are just Karens. They're just Karens. They gobble up everything from the mainstream media. They look out the curtains. They grass up their neighbours for going out twice or whatever. Oh, they're having a kid's birthday party. Quick, send the police in. Which is what they did here. They did it here in Manchester. And Greater Manchester Police tweeted, bragging, that they'd got a phone call, so they'd gone and split up a kid's birthday party and issued a fine. And obviously, Twitter gave them an absolute good hiding. Good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's 15% Karens. There's 15% people that are awake, and they're like, this is nonsense and it needs to stop now. And you've got this massive majority in the middle, which is now starting to go, something's not right. Something's not right. And they don't know what it is, and they don't necessarily believe that there's, this big conspiracy, but they also aren't buying the nonsense because it doesn't make sense. I can't go to my grandma's house, but I can take her to a theme park. What? Like none of it makes sense, and they realise that we're getting to a point where it's like, to stop people dying, we need to stop living. Well, no, that's not how it works. And so I think I'm optimistic. I mean, we're going to win. Like, we're going to win because
it feels like that. It really does.
Well, we're going to win because we've got no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't win, it doesn't bear thinking about. So simply just, no, I'm not accepting it. We're going to win. And I think with that, that big block, that 70% of people that are now starting to smell something's up, as we go into second lockdowns, as the furlough ends, as they realise that people are dying because they can't eat and all that, that's when they'll rise up and realise then and start to come over towards our side, which is like, yeah, this is a scam. And I always think, like, if there's 5 people outside my house and I've got to fight one of them, the one who's got nothing left to lose in life is the one I seriously don't want to fight. Because,
oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? You don't fight that guy. You run away from that guy.
Uh-huh.
And what you're going to have is you're going to have millions and millions of people across the world with nothing left to lose because they've lost everything. And I think the powers that be, not that they're powerful, but they think they are, I think they're terrified. I do. And that's why they're attacking us, because you don't attack someone unless you're frightened of them. Why would you? Just, like with the conspiracy nutters, just leave us be. Like, do you mean? Just leave us alone. It's fine.
Why are you so worried about it? So
yeah, why are you worried? You've got all the mainstream media, you've got all the celebrities, you've got all of Hollywood, you've got everything, mate. You've got all the governments, you've got everything. You just leave us to be crazy and it's fine. But they're terrified of us, because if we wake up that 70%, game over. It's game over overnight, and they know that, and that's what I think will happen. I just hope that it's done peacefully, and I genuinely mean that, because I think we need to be better than the fascist. We do need to be better than that, and I understand, that people will be so angry when they realise the true level of this, and they will find it out, and it will come out, and I just worry that then they'll go and start stringing up politicians in like Mussolini, and that can't happen. We need to be better. They need to be held to account and, punished for what they've done, but in a way that is legal and, moral.
Totally. I agree 100%. It was funny that some of the things you brought up, my daughter and I were watching A Bug's Life yesterday, and it's so funny, the part with the what do they call the grasshoppers? And
grasshoppers,
yeah. And they're like, if one ant knows what's going on, then all ants will know what's going on, and our game is up because they outnumber us like 10-1. And I was just thinking, oh man, there's a lot of similarities in that tale. Dr. Randall, I hope you're not mad at me for butting in there at the beginning and then hijacking your show.
No, thanks for cutting me off. Otherwise, I talked for 3 hours, and for Gareth, he wants to go to bed, but I'm here, I'm buzzing away. But no, Gareth, can you tell us more about what you feel over there? Because I feel the same thing. I feel violence coming up, because when you're talking about folks that your average working folks that they've saved, and they're not in the stock market because that they weren't taught to do that, but they save their money, and then they've spent it all with all these 7-8 months that have gone by, and now you've got all our governmental leaders, especially here in the U.S., saying, oh, by the way, yes, all of you wear masks, and we're going to just keep on staying locked down until this curve flattens. I said, what are you talking about? What curve? Was this going to just go away? But you can feel, I can feel the tension, that there's going to be perhaps more violence, because folks are pissed because all their life savings are gone. And now there's no hope in sight, because you got these ding-dongs who are running the government in each state here saying, oh, by the way, yes, wear those masks. Oh, and in our state anyway, 26 feet apart is better. And don't go to work because you're going to infect people. And so now what happens then? There's no money. Okay. There's no hope. And, I just feel a lot of violence coming on. And, just recently, and, at least in this country here up in Wisconsin, that there was a black person shot. And this mutated BLM movement has gone way, way violent and all that. But now anything that happens to a black person is evil and bad, and so now people have got this fake reason to go, basically a distraction to go beat up people or yell or throw stuff,
burn shit down,
So, but what's it like over there? I mean, is this the same thing? Because I was hoping to get a nurse on to the show. And she's here locally in Tacoma, and she goes, and she's much. She speaks honesty in her way, which is a lot of profanity. So doctor, this is fucking bullshit. I go, yes, I know, it's fucking bullshit. Yes, I know. Okay, all these guys in the hospital, it's all fake. There's no one sick, but they make us get up, put up on all this gear. It's like a hazmat suit with the mask and these goggles, right? That soon might be mandated here. And we're supposed to go into these, these rooms with people that are forced to be here, but their family can't come, but I can go in there, and I'm dressed up like some kind of Martian, they're falling further and further into depression, and these people don't want to talk to me. And, here I am, just Miss Sterile. And, they have no social contact at all. And these people are getting sick because of us. We're killing them. And, but this freaking hospital pays me. And so, it's like that, just kind of like you said. And just so I wanted her on the show because, and she'll bring her profanity with her, but she just speaks truth because, this is all garbage. We're killing people and no one's doing anything about it. But anyway, can you speak to that? Because you probably can feel the tension over there too, because there's probably people like you really frustrated about things and folks that are kind of finally waking up going, wow, what's next? I'm out of money. Now what? What do I do now?
Exactly. And I was at a protest in Leeds on Sunday, which is about an hour and a half north of me. And there was a doctor and two nurses there at the protest, and they're like, they were saying their colleagues know as well that it's a scam. But they're scared of losing their jobs. And like one lady was talking to me, she was like, I know they'll get rid of me eventually. Like, I know they will, but I can't stay silent because this is disgusting what's happening, and it's getting to a point now where, just shush and it'll be gone. Just put a mask on for a bit. I don't like it. I've got asthma, but put one on and it'll be fine. They're starting to realize now that no, it won't. It really won't. Because governments don't take away your freedoms to give them back. Like, it's not how it works. You have to take them back. And that's what these protests are all about. And there's one thing, like we're talking about violence and stuff like that. And I agree. I see it coming. I do absolutely see it coming here. And that's why I keep saying to people, like in these protests, and when people say, like, what can we do? Like, what can we do? We need to do something. It's like, you actually don't need to do anything. That's the point. We don't need to do anything apart from just non-comply. So when they say wear a mask, don't wear a mask. When they say get tested, don't get tested. When they say get the vaccine, go, no thanks, mate. And if everyone does that, it's over. And when they say the pubs have got to close and all the pub owners go, well, I'm opening. I'm going to stay open. So no, if one pub does that or two pubs to do that, the police will pick them off. But 200,000 pubs do that. No chance. And we had it here, like when we had a few really nice hot days, tens of thousands of people took to the beaches on the south coast and the police just
couldn't do anything.
Well, they couldn't do anything, no. And like the government issued a state of emergency. The police were there and there was this amazing footage of all these police wagons along the road by the beach, and then tens of thousands of people just on the beach drinking beer, going in the sea, and just, and it's a case you could see the police officers just stood there with their arms folded. So yeah, you can't do anything, mate. Do you know what I mean? But if there was 20 people on the beach, they'd all be in the back of the van. And that's the point. Like, we just need to non-comply and we will do it together. And a great example, and I use this example to people here, I don't know if it's the same there, but in the UK, you have different we say bins, but you'd say like trash cans, different color trash cans. So one will be colored for recycling, one will be colored for like regular stuff, one's for garden waste. You have three generally, and they get put out on different days. So the council were like proper Nazis about it, and some fella had put his out on the wrong day, just, got a bit, thought it was Tuesday, it wasn't, we've all done it. And so he got fined, right? And so he lived in like this cul-de-sac with quite a few houses, I guess, where most people know each other. And obviously he's like, I've got like £100 fine from the council, put my bin out on the wrong day. So what they all did was go, well, we'll all put the bin out on the wrong day then. So that's what they did. So the whole street kept putting the bins out on the wrong day. And in the end, the council were like, oh, all right, fine. Don't do anything. No fines or anything. Just, okay, fine. And it's because there's too many people doing it. And that's what it needs to come down to. Like, just say no. We don't need to be violent. We don't need to fight the government. We just need to say no. And then it's over. It's done. It's finished. And when they say, you need to do this, go, all right, mate, okay. And then just carry on not doing it. And you'll have a few shops that will go, well, I'm not going to open then. Well, then don't open. Right, it's your problem, mate. Don't open. But, I know someone that runs a shop on the Isle of Wight, and she put a sign on the door saying no masks. And she said she was telling my mum how her take-ins are up like 500%. So
that's a good indication that people are, that some people are waking up to this. I would think so. I mean, I've been really happy to see. I mean, this is the first time that I've ever lived through something like this. I mean, I really didn't pay attention when it was H1N1 when I was in a different frame of mind back then. So I really didn't know what was going on. And then after my awakening, now I've become more aware of all this stuff and all the machinations and all the manipulations and things like that. So, but for the most part, and I can even recall your dad saying something along the lines of he hasn't seen he like in all the years he's been doing this, only within the past like 4 or 5 years he's seen a huge change. Maybe it might be a little bit more than that. So. And of course it is called a global awakening for a reason. And I went through all the supernatural things I went through that I know it's all true. So it's really cool. So it is at the same time, it's frustrating, but it's also really exciting to actually see these positive things happening and people responding. And I think honestly, personally, that they push too much and with too much bullshit. And they are getting pushback. And thanks to the efforts of you guys, you and your family, and all that you do, which, by the way, incredibly grateful for. One of the things I wanted to tell you was, one of the reasons why your dad has been so good at this and such a badass at it is because he has a badass family, you and your brother and your sisters, and who support, and you guys are all, you stand on your own. And, I'm I've always been a big fan. So it's good to see. And it's good to see all of this now in your family, especially now, people are looking at you guys a lot differently than in the past, where they would, be the first to say a bunch of stuff. And
well, that's the weird thing about that. Like, I thought for years, when we just got so much horrible stuff, and it was just horrible. And so you'd have, the press outside your house, and they'd be following you to school, and it was just weird. Mm-hmm. Never understood why they did that. Like, why you bothered with me? I'm just a kid. And so you had all that crap, and people would shout at you in the street, and you get all this abuse. And if Dad went on telly, good luck. Do you know what I mean? It was just, yeah. And I thought for years later, like, what was that about? Like, what the hell was all that about? Like, people say everything happens for a reason. What the frick? That was just nasty. And I think now, like, there's literally no fucks given with me now. Like, if I know something's true, I'm going to say it. And if people have a go at me for it, well, I don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm telling you what's happening. If you've got a problem with me, fine. And I don't know if I'd be like that. Certainly not to that level, unless all that stuff had happened. So it's almost like, and also being in punk bands and stuff, and having, like, wicked experiences all over the world. But then at the same time, I've had people throw bottles at me on stage, and just nearly had me head. And so you that teaches you as well, like, to just get some bloody backbone and some thicker skin, and come on, let's have it. And yeah, so I'm actually glad for all that crap that went on.
I know the stories, by the way. I really, really enjoyed the book. It was pretty cool. Your book.
Thank you very much. Yeah, some weird stories in there, mate.
No, I thought they were hilarious. I really enjoyed them. So it's funny. It's like I feel like I know you because I had my head in that book for, like, I couldn't put it down at some point. So, and of course I got a billion questions about that, but I'll have to do another show about that. But and I was reaching out to you, asking you about how that's what I did want to ask you, and I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. So, okay, so you're about the same age. You're getting there to the age that Taffy was whenever he was looking over you guys. Well, not looking over you guys, but involved.
Yeah, he was about 45 at that point, and I'm 38 now. So yeah, I'm nearing in on that. Yeah.
So what are your perceptions now? So of now that you're older and you see things a little bit differently, and now you look back at how you and your bandmates were.
I was a complete dick. Yeah, but my heart was in the right place, and so I just threw sausage rolls at him while he was driving, and so I wasn't, I was just but but he'd have done that. Do you know what I mean? He'd have done that when, and he's still a close friend anyway, so he can't hate me that much. He'd have done that when he was my age. So
God, one day I'd love to. It would be awesome to have him and you on, and just and have you guys talk about that book. That would be an awesome show. Okay, so
that would be that actually would be really,
I would like
quite
that.
funny actually.
I wonder if he'd be willing, but
you probably would. Like, you'd have to put a disclaimer out because he's the most non-PC person you'll ever have a conversation with. It's ridiculous.
He was there when I walked away from the book. I was like, I got to know more about this Taffy guy. Like, I thought it was. For some reason, I just thought his involvement was just, the story was on you guys, but then there was like the band manager, I guess you would call him, and he's taking all this crap from you guys, but he's still, he's in it with you. He's doing all this stuff with you. I thought it was great. I thought it was real.
Oh, he was the fifth member of the band. Like, so any money we made from gigs was always split 5 ways. Always. Yeah. It was, we were 5 of us in the band. It just happened that he didn't play an instrument. He, just did everything else basically. But yeah, but it was love, I mean, he took crap off us but it was all, it was all in jest.
You could tell him that there's some random guy out in Houston who's a fan.
Who wants to talk to him? Yeah.
Who wants to talk to him?
Yeah, I'll message him. He'll love that. He'd love that.
No, seriously. But
he is Welsh, though. He is Welsh, so it'd take you a while to put the subtitles on it. Because you can't understand a word he's saying.
Still, those are great stories, especially, like, I could just, man, you're a good writer. I could feel those moments, especially the ones with, when you guys would get robbed. And you come back to your bus and it would be like completely, all the stuff would be gone. Just awesome stories. Okay, before I get too sidetracked with that. Okay, so back to all this. Now, recently your dad, and I know you guys have been talking a lot to Andrew Kaufman, and this is a guy who just kind of came out of nowhere, and he's like, he's man, all eyes are on him, which is awesome. Because his form of medicine is what we need right now. And Dr. Randall knows about Andrew Kaufman as well. And we've been focusing a lot of our time and effort really starting to understand, me especially, terrain theory versus germ theory and such. So what do you think personally about all of this in regards to chromosome 8? Because that's one huge monumental act of deception on behalf of the PCR test. And I'm already, and like I said earlier in the show, I've debated these bioengineers or biological people who are familiar in the PCR test, just debating them, and they defend this thing to the death. And but this is huge, and it I don't know if that story has gotten a whole lot of traction. I know that, on your end, I think you guys have posted some information about it. I tracked it down through some blog sites. I looked at the material and followed the links and looked at the CDC documentation and the Hughes documentation, and it's true. The only difference that I saw was that one is in reference to DNA and the other is in reference to RNA. I'm not a geneticist, so I don't know how big of a difference that makes, but unbelievable. Like, is that information taking hold over there? That's pretty big, if you ask me.
It's taking hold, but the annoying thing is it's taking hold in the circles of people that already know it's a scam. So it's kind of like it's taking hold in the sense of, I knew it was a scam and here's the evidence. But, in terms of wider circles, not yet. But it's only really just been discovered, isn't it? It's only just, come out and been put out into the public. So we'll see. But the other thing as well, you're talking about, like you were saying, you're having these arguments with these, PCR, what did you call them? PCR extremists.
PCR tyrants, PCR Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the simple question is, like, so we're now, obviously everything's being done on cases because no one's dying. So we're now focusing solely on that. So in theory, if the cases are the thing that, this is the big deal, then surely the test that gives you the cases has got to be a big deal as well. So you go, okay, well, is it a reliable test? There's lots of people that say it's not. The guy that invented it says it's not in terms of testing for infectious diseases, but okay, that's fine. So I would say this to people, right? So a pawpaw fruit tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that's weird. A goat tested positive. Mm-hmm. Motor oil tested positive. Right? Yeah. So these are all the same tests that were done and sent to the World Health Organization. The other thing as well that people tend to say is, well, you'd need people to be in on it. Well, not necessarily. Not if the protocol's coming from up here from very few people, and everyone else is just carrying out that protocol. Now, I've seen 3 or 4, and that's just me seeing 3 or 4. So how many are out there? People tweeting. They were in America as well, all of them, saying that basically they'd had their letter to go for their test and basically gone, I forgot. I was supposed to go for a test today. Or I'd basically gone, I was supposed to go for a test today, but my daughter was sick and I need to go and pick her up from school. Anyway, they missed the test, didn't go. Mm-hmm. And 3 out of the 4 got positive results.
Yeah, that's been happening here too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one got a negative result, but how did you even get a negative result? You didn't take a test because you didn't show up. So then you look at it and go, right, well, cases are the big thing. The test is the big thing, but the test can find a fruit positive, and it can find you positive or negative even if you didn't get tested. Like, what? And, you know, I try and point that out to people. And I was chatting to a guy, Jason, earlier. I was saying, I don't want to be one of those people that just goes up to people in the street and shakes them. Do you know what I mean? Just going, wake up. Ah. I don't want to be that guy, because you
feel sometimes, though.
Oh, it's how you feel, yeah. But you end up, you know, just looking like a crazy bastard, and then they don't take it seriously at all. So I just throw little lines in, you know, and I point those things out, and you see people go, what? What do you mean a fruit tested positive? And it's like, yeah, because it wasn't in the mainstream media. I got a little bit on RT, and it got a little bit, it might have even been the Washington Post. A couple of bits covered it, but not really. And so it's like, that should have been on front page news. That you know, that should be front page, because that throws everything out. So that's annoying, but that is funny though, isn't it? That a fruit tested positive.
Yeah,
I wonder if that fruit's dead now.
Sorry, Dr. Randall, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay, that was
the same thing, and I go, you know, but a lot of people will either not see it, or they'll just pass it off, because, like, you know, with you, Gareth, you had an interesting upbringing because of your dad. You know, what your dad does, or what I have known of him by listening to him, is that he tells the truth. That's it. There's one thing. There's only the truth, and there's not the truth. And so that's how you were raised. And then I think luckily too, you got to exercise all your artistic, talents, by singing, songwriting, and visiting, other countries like that. So, you have all those experiences. Okay. But what you learned from your dad was you tell the truth, and that's one thing. There's only the truth, and there's nothing else except the truth. And I think that built you a backbone, because when you look at all those other people out here, look at how they're conditioned, because you're not going to dissuade them, because that's their subconscious mind. That's where they get 95% of what they think, feel, and do. So you can't say, oh, by the way, all of this is fake, and then you got this big thing called the cabal out there, and you start talking out like that, and yes, you're going to sound crazy. And if you start being more, forceful, with your tone, they'll go, oh, you're one of those nutbags, aren't you? You're one of those conspiracy guys. I'm going to call the police because you're nuts. And all you are is telling the truth. You see, and so these other people, that's their truth. And then you cannot dissuade them because that's what they believe. That's their convictions. Because unless you can present it to them where they're open, they're going to go, I don't care. I don't care what you're a dirtbag, nutbag, and I'm not going to listen to you. And so, so I like that approach, because once you start getting frustrated and saying, oh, you're a dumbass, why can't you get this? Now they're going to go, oh, you see, I knew it. He's one of those kind of guys, And so now you get negatively labeled, and now you just reinforce their false beliefs. And so now you kind of made it worse by, by losing your temper. So I'm glad you kind of bring that up, because then I get frustrated too. And there's so many times I'm going to say to folks, you stupid, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Yeah. And now I sound like a crazy person. So, I'm just going to back off and say, okay, this is what I learned, and, why don't you go check this out, But once you're in a belief system, your convictions, that's your identity. That becomes your traits. That becomes your identity. And you're not going to just give that up because, Gareth knows more and listen to me and all that. But just to, bring that up with you, because, I like that idea, because, there are sometimes when I listen to folks and I want to either raise my voice or say, well, don't you know who I am? And that sounds even worse, right? But no, I just feel this violence thing coming up, because like you and other folks like you and like us, we get frustrated. So how come you can't get this? Look, the science doesn't bear this out. But you have a bunch of numbnut doctors, healthcare practitioners saying, oh, by the way, do what the government says, wear your mask. Okay, 26 feet social distancing is much better than 6. Stay at home, go broke, and stuff like that. And it's foolish, because you have people in the profession that are very ignorant. or they're paid off, or I don't know what they are.
Well, or both. Yeah,
Yeah, it's sad.
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, because you bring up those valid points, and I get angry too, and it's almost like, God, I'd like to shake the
Yeah,
crap out of it.
people worry. I think people worry what people think of them, and it's also like, if I act like that or if I say that, what will people say? It's never what will the government do or what will the police do. Even it's always like, what will the lady across the road think, or what will my old schoolmates say? Well, who gives a shit? I just have, in terms of doing something, the one question is it right to do it? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to say it. And if that means that someone gets the ump with me, then that's absolutely fine. And I went through all that, with the Israel stuff, like, because if you say anything against Israel, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're anti-Semite and a Nazi and whatever. And I kind of, when I first started doing a bit of sort of, because I went to Israel, played football in Israel, and I saw it firsthand, and I didn't like what I saw in terms
genocide.
of
It's straight up freaking genocide.
And so I started speaking out on it, and when I got the backlash I have to confess, I was taken aback, because being called an anti-Semite and a Nazi is not very nice. It's not nice to get called that. And then obviously then you realise that actually, well, I'm not, so it doesn't really matter that you're saying that. And I'd always kind of say, like, why don't we debate? Why don't we debate about it and have a conversation? They go, don't debate with Nazis. Well,
that's what that tactic is.
I can't win then. I can't win. And you have the same, like, with my dad, where they'll be like, he's an anti-Semite. Have you ever read any of his books? They go, I don't read books by anti-Semites. You're like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? You can't
win.
You can't win.
No, that is crazy, because I know people from the region, and I've always known about Zionism, and here especially, if you start to talk about the Zionists, or the especially the ultra Zionists and stuff like that, as your dad calls them, that's where you got that term from. They come at you as being anti-Semite, crazy as and they use that tactic so they won't debate, so they don't have to debate you. It's just like screaming racism at somebody. So, and
that's exactly what happens. I was at a demonstration the other day, and we were giving speeches, but there were these two demonstrations before it. And there was one Black Lives Matter demonstration, and then there was another one where some veterans had come along, and they were basically demonstrating against child abuse. Mm-hmm. And so Antifa had come in and sort of, put themselves in the middle of the Black Lives Matter protest. And as soon as they saw, the old veterans, it was Nazi scum off our street, Nazi scum off our street. And it's like, these are just a bunch of middle-aged men with, like, kids and wives and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? And one of them unfurled a banner that said, like, kids' lives matter. And then as soon as they unfurled it, it was like, Nazi scum. And it's like, you do realise you're shouting Nazi scum at someone that's trying to fight child abuse. Like, surely you should be demonstrating together. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And then I sort of watched this, and there was some fighting and all sort of nonsense. And then our speeches started when it had died down. And quite a few folks from Black Lives Matter came over, and they joined us, and they were listening to people speaking. We had, some doctors speaking, whatever. And they were listening, they were taking it in. And then I saw, like, because I'm always quite vigilant, and I saw that a few of the Antifa lot were coming over, and it was kind of like, here we go, let's sort of see what's going to happen. And they just started singling out the black folks and going up to them and just saying, like, why are you listening to this? Why are you here doing this? And it's like, but the Antifa lot are all white folk. So, okay, so Black Lives Matter, but you white people are going to tell them
what to do.
They kind of can't listen to, and then kind of chastise them if they listen to something that you don't like. That sounds like white supremacy to me, mate, if I'm honest. Do you know what I mean? But the people can't see it, and it does make me laugh, and it made me angry at the time. But then on reflection, the fact that they were told to bugger off by the Black Lives Matter people who just said, "Oh, listen to her, I want thanks." I was like, "Well played, good."
I've seen, yeah, because I've seen some video and some footage and some YouTube over here of, because I think they're just like, things aren't as black and white, especially when it comes to Black Lives Matter. I know that most of the militant versions of this are, a lot of it comes from Soros funding through Open Societies Foundation. I would say Alex Soros more than George Soros. I don't know how much George Soros pulls the strings anymore, but I do know that Alex Soros is in charge of OSF now. He's the chairman or the executive director or something like that. So, and I was watching one one video where a woman, it was pretty famous. A woman was out there. She was protesting for the police. She was saying Blue Lives Matter, or whatever. And she started getting attacked by an Antifa person. And then a Black Lives Matter woman came and stepped in to stop the Antifa attack. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, BLM, Antifa, it's all engineered, totally engineered.
Of course it is. Absolutely is. Yeah.
And so it's, and like, I know that I've been reading also that in Wisconsin, a lot of those people aren't even locals. The typical busing in the extreme people. And we've even seen the contracts, copies of the contracts that they put out there for these people that they hire as protesters. So I know you guys have, for sure. And that's just nuts. And how manufactured it is. And then you have, of course, the CNN camera crew and the, and MSNBC and all these people are there, and they're like, oh, look at this grassroots organic, protest happening. Bullshit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Organic protest with pallets of bricks left on the side.
Yeah, left out in the city. Yeah, that's right.
Because they're always doing that. Do you know what I mean? Down my street, they're always leaving pallets of bricks.
That's very normal. Happens all the time.
but a lot. It's just what they do is, if you're going to manipulate genuine grievances, then that's an easy gig because there's so many. Mm-hmm. So you have Extinction Rebellion. So you have people that are worried about the planet. Well, then Extinction Rebellion can come in and they can manipulate those people, and those people have genuine feelings. And then with Black Lives Matter, I mean, the name's amazing because I'm lucky enough to not know anyone that would ever disagree with that. Of course, Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. So what you've done with the name is, if I say, well, no, I don't agree with Black Lives Matter. Now my
weaponized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but my reason is, okay, well, the Marxist ideology, the fact that they want to defund the police, open borders, open prisons, end capitalism. What's that got to do with racism? Like George Floyd's got a 7-year-old daughter. Would he want you to open the prisons and let all the paedophiles out? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. So, do you know what I mean? It doesn't. So I don't agree with the organisation. And also, why is George Soros, a white billionaire who openly says he doesn't care about the consequences of anything he does, he's just there to make money? Mm-hmm. Why would he be funding? Just ask that question. Why would PepsiCo be funding them? Why would Nike be funding them? Like, they give a shit when their kids are in sweatshops making trainers.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
And you try and say this to people, but you say, I don't agree with Black Lives Matter. Oh, so you don't think Black Lives Matter? And you're like, oh, mate. And so the name's brilliant. Like, the marketing, it's fantastic on that side of it. But yeah, they take over that. And so Antifa as well. So you have people, that I'm anti-fascist. It's like, I don't think you need to say you're anti-fascist. Do you know what I mean? Because I would suggest that 99.999999 recurring of the population is anti-fascist. It's like me going, I'm a man. Well, yeah, I can see that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems odd to me. I always think when people put anti-fascist in their bios, I always find that odd. It's like, well, obviously, of course you are. Like, why wouldn't you be that? And so what you do is, you weaponize and, manipulate organizations to have people, I imagine most people that support Antifa are probably just lovely people. Do you know what I mean? Just nice people that are anti-fascist, but they don't realize what Antifa is and who pulls its strings and what it's there to do. And the fact, again, why do they want to defund the police? Why do they want to open the prisons? Why do they want to open borders? Why do they want to end capitalism? And, that's the same goals as Black Lives Matter. It's the same goals as Extinction Rebellion. Why have all these organizations all got the same goals, which don't seem in any way connected to what they're actually supposed to be about? But there you go.
No, it's so true. And it's so easy to deceive people too, of course, because they have control of the narrative completely. So, and the majority, I would say, still to this day, even though there's a lot of shift out of people only getting their information from the mainstream media, a lot still have their noses in it, and that's what dictates their perception of the world. So it's crazy. And I remember, Dr. Randall had wrote an article. It was All Lives Matter, and I was like, you might not want to post because at that time when it was like anybody that said, like, people were getting shot in the head for saying All Lives Matter stuff like that. I mean, not that I was trying to say that you should. I think you should do what you feel is right, and it's so true. And I was noticing how they manipulate that sentiment versus Black Lives Matter, and everything you're saying, Gareth, is spot on. It's all weaponized. It's for that reason, so that you can't criticize it, at all, and it allows them to do whatever the fuck that they want. And then you say anything about it, and they're like, "Oh, just like." And that same tactic has been going on for forever. I think it originated with it probably didn't originate with Trotsky, but Trotsky was he was really into using those types of manipulations and tactics. I wanted to jump right back to Israel, because that is always, I mean, that's like the head of the snake, as they say. And some people, of course, this is not an anti-Semitic statement. I know people who have fled Israel not to get away from terrorism again, and stuff like that. They were annoyed by the expansion and the violence that it brought, and they are anti-Zionists, believe it or not. So, and I also know Jewish Americans who are, and that interesting. It's always divided along political lines. But I also know people, Muslims, who one was that lived in Palestine, and he was actually forced at gunpoint out of his home, and he was allowed only to take. And this is back in the 50s, 40s, late 40s, early 50s. He was only allowed to take what he could fit into a pillowcase. And because a lot of them had formed terrorist, not Muslims, but a lot of the militant Israelis had formed terrorist groups back then and started to terrorize people out of their homes to get them to leave the land. A lot of people don't know this stuff. They think because the media is constantly portraying that Israel is always a victim to all this stuff. It's, kudos to you guys for being brave about it. And I know you, Gareth, I've actually, just by researching, reading through the tweets from the IDF and stuff like that, I'll come and find you down in the threads down there, giving your peace of mind to the IDF. I think you've done that on, I know, one occasion specifically. So you're not afraid.
I'm not afraid of them. Not bothered.
And and I remember the whole anti-Semitic stuff when it started to ramp up against your dad. And I read your dad's books. I've got from the Perception Deception onward. I have them all. I even have some from his back catalog. And like you say, no, there is no anti-Semitic. There's a discussion about Zionism and stuff like that, and the Rothschilds and all the stuff, which is true. There's no falsehoods about it, and there's no squaring anybody off against it. But still, the attacks are they're just nuts. And God, even and this is another subject I want to dive into, because this true. We've noticed that alternative media has been compromised, a lot of it recently, within recent years. I don't like to read RT as much anymore, specifically because of that hit piece that Polly did on your dad. I think her name is Polly, right?
Yeah, that was very odd.
That was and when I read that, that really pushed me. That really made me really think about what's going on. And then, I send you some links to Zero Hedge articles sometimes, but I'm also noticing that Zero Hedge, they give a lot of energy, or not energy. They give a lot of they're not outright addressing this as a conspiracy. They give a lot of attention to coronavirus as being an actual thing. And I started to look at the language that they use, and also the frequency of the posts being made. And then you look at sites like Drudge Report, which is just Drudge Report's completely changed. It's unreal so now they are moving in. Have you noticed this as well with alternative media? Because I know you're really connected in with a lot of those people. Do you know anything about on an official level that this is happening?
Only on what I'm seeing, and I don't disagree at all. I think the number of outlets is getting smaller, and that you can kind of pull stories from and stuff. People do seem to have changed. I don't know if they've been frightened into it or whatever. I mean, the RT piece was very odd, because she came down to the Isle of Wight. She was very nice, and it was fine. She was following me on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? So, and she came down, did the piece. It went great. They thought it was great, and then it wasn't aired. It wasn't in RT, and so basically, my dad was like, that's probably coronavirus. My dad was going to, was obviously saying to RT, like, what's going on with this? Like, you've as far as my dad's concerned, like, you've come down and spent a whole day with me. I could have been working or seeing my grandchildren. Do you know what I mean? I've given you a whole day. You're not even publishing it. Mm-hmm. And it went on. It was. I don't know how long it was, but it was. I mean, we're talking 6, 7, 8, 9 months until they finally allowed it to be. Because they thought, well, Polly thought, it'll be out in the next day or so. I'll send you a link. And so, yeah, all of a sudden, 9 months later, it's a real hit piece. And so I'm just looking at that thinking, it was, yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, did she even write that? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, did she even write it? Or was she, forced to write it? I don't know. It's a weird one. But it's what it is. I mean, they took a fair bit of flack for it. On social media,
I used to really enjoy RT because I thought, that the reporting was fairly honest. But then after I read that, man, it really, because you know how I feel about you guys. So any hit piece on David is just a no-no in my book, and it completely changed the way that I viewed RT. And I've just been watching things change, and I assume that they're as more awakened and more truth comes out, you could only expect that the powers that be are going to be investing their money and investing in these groups and these independent alternative medias and taking control of them. At least I think that's going to happen. And it's how easy is it for them to go up to somebody and say, hey, listen, I'll give you $15 million. You live the rest of your life on a beach somewhere, take good care of your kids. And a lot of these people, I'm sure, are going to sell out. And that's the sad thing. But I mean, thanks to the internet and shows that we all do and stuff like that, at least we get a chance to keep going. I just noticed that it's getting late over there, so I guess we should wrap this up. Though I've been thoroughly enjoying it, 100%.
No, thoroughly enjoying it. I haven't even had my dinner yet. I've been all over the place lately. Like I did a podcast the other day, and it was supposed to be an hour, and I was like, oh, it's going about 20 minutes till it started, and I hadn't eaten, and I was like, I'll wait. I'll eat afterwards. Anyway, it was about 4.5 hours later. And I'd done a bottle of wine and I was already on the whiskey. There'd been tears, believe it or not, like in it, like dead emotional. I mean, it was great. It was fantastic. But yeah, that made me laugh. I was like,
well, we'll leave it up to you. It's the afternoon now. All I'm doing in Houston right now is waiting for a hurricane to wipe us out. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, well, that's why the media's gone absolutely bananas about it. And guess what? Guess what's going to happen after the hurricane hits? Coronavirus cases are through the roof.
Oh, the wind blew it, did it?
Yeah, exactly. The water's tainted.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. In Paris, they even started testing the sewage, didn't they? They weren't getting enough cases, so they started testing the sewage. Unbelievable.
So they'll be like, everybody who lives on this block obviously has it. We've tested the sewage, and so we've taken a tally of everybody that lives there. Yeah, I'm sure they'll do some stupid like that. I mean, I'm just so mind blown by the just outrageous lies and how they could get away with it, but hopefully not for too much longer. Dr. Randall, do you have any input over here? I'm loving the hat.
No, I always enjoy Gareth, but no, before we go here, for your book, if there was any way I can get an audio of that, I would love it, because you Patrick are enjoying it. I'd love to read the darn thing, and love to meet that guy that you want to bring on. Too.
Taffy? Yeah, that would be awesome.
No, because this is I like people's experiences, and yours, Gareth, is a very interesting one because of the way you got raised, and yet, you have these unique God talents, and one as a performer, and it's an art. Okay, and then so here you are, you get to travel the world, with your music. But you've got this other part of you where you were schooled in this is what's right, and there's only what's right. That's it. That's truth. Okay. And then you get to be your rock star person and all that. But to the core, that's what you were taught. You were taught these principles and all that. But that said, why I like you on the show, and I'm going to have you back though many more times. But to have that guy join us here, because I want to hear more, because everyone's experiences end up becoming some other traits, ends up becoming some of our identity. You see, and then yours is a very rich one. And then I don't know. I just think that you're like Patrick. You're one of these kind of gifts to the world, that these leaders that we all need to get to know, and we all need to be like. You see, so what you do is so important, and and Patrick does it too. He's really anti-ego, but his is he lives the way he lives, and it's unconditional love only, and he influences more people than he thinks. So anyway, I'd love to have you back, and if I can get an audio of your book, that'd be great too. But if you can set up that interview with that guy, so I can listen to you guys, because that your life is part of this. It's a darn big part of this, of who you are, because you're this good guy, and I like people like you to share who they are with the rest of us, because you show us what's possible. And then from there, it's like, oh, well, if he could do it, maybe
Yo, Gareth is awesome. Gareth's music, I need to share it with you, because I love it. And which was funny, because when I got the first album, Industry of Lives, the one song I didn't listen to on that was Little French Cars. Now, because it's the intro jingle to this show, I cannot get that song. I'll wake up and I'll just start going, dun, 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 dun. I can't get it out of my head. I brought all my guitars in this room too, so I was going to ask you if you have like tab or something for it, because
I don't, but I can kind of work that out.
Could you? That'd be awesome, because
it's capoed on the 10th, if that helps.
I'm a full-time drummer, well, not full-time drummer, but that's all I've known since I was so my guitar usage is I could show you with my little my guitar.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Is restricted to reading tab and playing along with songs. Mostly Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam, that was why I got so excited whenever when I first opened your book. You're like, hey, I grew up listening to Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Stone Temple Pilots, and I was like, this is my
guy. I love the Pilots as well. They kind of went under the radar for a lot of people.
Go check out lately they got a new singer, and I know a lot of my other musician friends, they get a little weird about it, because he sounds just like Scott Weiland, and he can do the old material and the new material. Look up their latest shows. You got to see it's remarkable, and of course he emulates him a little bit in his act. But I guess at this point, because the Delio brothers, they're almost like 60 years old, so after having to struggle so long with the lead singer who had such horrible addictions, but who was also super talented, it doesn't bother me that they did. My other friends were like, I don't know how I feel about that. But anyways, I could talk for hours about music and Stone Temple Pilots and stuff. By the way, sorry about the unusual picture of my drum set. I just thought you should see it.
That's cool. I think, I get that though. I suppose those guys, they get to, do it now without the heroin around, which, someone with any kind of addiction that's not easy to be around, But
it destroyed him, man.
Oh, it really did, yeah. Tragic. But we're talking about lockdowns and stuff. How many more people are falling back into addictions and stuff that they beat, previously? So yeah.
Shit. I mean, I was getting so I do like to drink. I not like heavily. I have, at night I put at the end of the day, I like beer, wine, whatever. It depends on what I'm going to be cooking for dinner, because I also like to cook for my family. So one of the things is like being in lockdown and pretty much being house or homebound a lot. Man, my waistline has been expanding quite a bit. I got a treadmill though, so I used it the other day.
I've been awful, mate. I was saying this to someone the other day. I was like, I drank so much over lockdown, and they were like, well, we all did. I went, yeah, but did you have a brewery delivering kegs of beer to your house? And the guy was like, okay, no, I didn't go that far. I was like, I was bad.
You and I think we have the same kind of, because I'm the same. When I was reading your book, the beer usage and the tally that you had made and everything like that. Yeah, I grew up being a big fan of beer, and that's one of the things I haven't gotten away from as I've gotten into my early 40s, mind you, early. I just turned 42 this month, so which is interesting. But
happy birthday!
Oh, thank you.
Belated.
Oh yeah, but I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I love beer. I just can't help it. And Dr. Randall lectures me all the time about it because I'm always.
Hey, I like it too. So hey, knock it off.
Yeah, but he's like, I wish you would switch to wine because all he hears is me complaining about how my waistline is expanding. He's like, well, switch to wine. I'm like, well, I love beer. That's like, I found one that's like some sort of organic, super light Michelob. Is Michelob producing an organic light beer right now, which has got like 2.5 carbs and 80 something calories, and like you end up having to drink like 6 of them to feel anything from them because it barely has any alcohol. But anyways, Gareth, I'm sorry, I could talk forever, and
no, we'll do it again.
Let's do it. And appreciate you so much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate everything that you do, and I appreciate you putting up with me sending you a bunch of emails all the time.
No, I love it, mate. Love it.
No. Dr. Randall, anything else you want to say? Are we good?
No, what a great show. Let's do it again. But like I said, I'd like an audio of your book, and
I'll like read it into a recorder or something if you don't have it.
Yeah, that'd be great too. But I gotta have wine with it though, so I can't just listen. I need to pay attention. Right. But anyway, no, thank you so much. And like I said, if we can get that other guy on with you, I think that'd be great because. I do like people's backgrounds, and you're a gift to all of us, and I like to have people share in you, and then to learn from your leadership, because I think a lot of folks out there just waiting to bust up. A lot of times they might be too scared, or they're in this place right now of what do I do now? Oh, the government's not taking care of me. Crap, now what? Right? And so anyway, love to have you back, and if we can get that other gentleman on, that'd be wonderful. But you bring such high energy to the show, so I thank you for that.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. And we'll speak soon. Definitely.
All right, guys, take it easy. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to go deal with my hurricane situation.
Okay.
So. Good luck. Good luck. Take care.